Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be fuck up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis.
Hi, hello! Welcome to Occultae Veritatis. I am Sage Murray, along with
Ood Gallifrey.
And Richard Bigley.
Low energy.
And joining us in studio,
Arthur Tallis.
All right, so I'm going to do Heaven's Gate. So I need some booze. It's booze o'clock.
It's booze o'clock.
Poison.
Booze o'clock.
So, what's your poison?
Okay, so what I have here is Bandits Moonshine coffee. It's only 30%, so it's not that bad. And this is made in somewhere northern-ish Saskatchewan, I believe.
Ooh. It says on the back.
Oh, it does.
So, what's your poison?
There's a part of me that was waiting for that to, actually... Weyburn!
Yeah.
So it's made in Weyburn. And all their stuff is delicious, but the coffee is the most... Oh, let's see if we can get a nice little...
Nice pap.
Yeah.
What kind is that? That's...
Coffee
one. Ooh. We did a wild berry or a blueberry one for one of my... Or Saskatoon berry for one of my episodes. Yeah, Saskatoon berry.
And then we did my disgusting...
Straight up moonshine.
Disgusting, gross...
Yeah.
Or real stuff, because I have some real stuff at home.
It was real stuff, and it was disgusting. It was terrible.
Richard. Pass that to Dick.
I'll pass it to Dick.
Fun story. We don't call me Dick. That's part of the joke. You know, if you have to explain the joke, then it's not funny. So it's like really we just let people decide that on their own. You should have
told me that before.
That's okay. Dick Bigley. Big Dickley. Whatever. Big dick joke. That's really all it is.
This smells really good, you guys.
It smells amazing. It
smells like coffee.
Ice cream.
Pardon?
It smells like coffee. I love this. This is going to be...
God damn them all.
That's really good.
That is nice.
Yeah, and for 30%, it doesn't super burn because it's a little less than whiskey. It's just nice.
Like you could mix this with your coffee or your tea or your orange pop.
No,
or anything really. I would mix it with anything. It's delicious.
I mean, just again.
Or just like a straight up shot, but because it's coffee, your boss will think you were just drinking coffee in the coffee room. They won't know that you were actually in the parking lot shooting moonshine that was flavored like coffee. Yeah. So
good.
Vanilla ice cream is the best. You take just a little drizzle on top and so good.
Yeah, I think I'm going with I don't know. Go an 8 out of 10 on this one.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with an 8 out of 10 too. This is a perfect sipping liqueur.
Burns so nice.
It's a nice burn.
It's usually when I think moonshine, I think of uncontrollable burning, but somehow the bitterness of the coffee is a nice protection for the mouth. I don't know how to describe it.
It's like a mouth condom.
Yeah, it's like a
dental
mouth condom.
dam.
Yeah, it's like a dental dam. I'm not gonna get moonshine scabies. It's gonna be great.
No moonshine scabies for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10 though. It's fucking great.
This is really good.
And at this point, I'd like to plug our GoFundMe. You should all be giving money to our GoFundMe to help us pay for studio equipment and everything. Sage had our old studio kind of resembled, the inside of a sewer pipe, I guess, because the contents of said sewer pipe actually ended up in our studio.
Yeah.
So, yeah. New equipment, new whatever. And
I need a whole new basement.
So if you guys don't mind kicking in a couple of bucks here and there into our GoFundMe, you can find it on our Twitter, on our Facebook. We'll probably link to it in this episode description and stuff too. So
We po.
Yeah, we were able to salvage most of the equipment pretty well, but we still want to upgrade and move on. Like, and we still want a lot of stuff. Like, we still want to go on field trips to haunted locations.
Yeah,
and,
literally all we want to do is go lay on the graves of dead children.
Yeah, and record
That's what
it.
we want.
Like, is that too much to ask,
Yeah.
really? Like,
Graves of dead children.
A couple of bucks here and there. That's all we need, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, a recurring monthly payment like you guys are already making. Maybe just, you know, triple it or something for us. I don't know.
Boy, oh boy.
Rude.
Man, I feel so dirty asking for money. Like, let's get real here. Like, every time I know, like, I know we're giving free entertainment out, but I always feel so fucking dirty about it, you know?
Yeah, I always feel dirty about asking for money, but we really do need money. Yeah. And also, the Graves of Dead Children is a perfect goth band.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like when I say like we're pretty like low scale big in the podcast world. Like we're 90th percentile of downloads ish.
We have 250,000 downloads, guys. We have over 250,000 downloads.
We do. We have over 250,000 downloads now.
Man, those numbers.
250,000 sounds way cooler.
It's a fucking shit ball load of downloads.
It's a lot of downloads.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even think my mom would listen to it because she's Christian as fuck and all that.
Does your mom listen to it?
No, no, she does not.
My mom doesn't listen to it.
Hi, Ood's mom.
My dad does though.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
She should get an account, and she could be like, Ood's mom could be her account, and then it would be great. You know, kind of like how Mrs. Richard Bigley is Mrs. Richard Bigley.
Yeah. Like I'm Mr. Sage Murray.
And you got Mr. Sage Murray. Yeah, you could have like Ood's mom. Wouldn't that be a cool account?
Please deconvert my mom.
Hail Val.
Yeah, at Hail Val.
Yeah. She got upset when she found out I wasn't going to church anymore. She hasn't found out about like my polyamorous kinky shit yet. So, yeah.
All right. So, anywho, that was Delicious Poison.
This clip that I'm about to play you is the initiation tape that was shown to new members of the Heaven's Gate cult. This is one of the first things they would listen to. The voice you're about to hear is Marshall Applewhite, the leader and founder of the Heaven's Gate cult. This is going to be a thrown-together edited version of the full initiation tape. For those of you that are on the Patreon feed, there's a full version of the initiation tape for you to listen to on the Patreon feed. Patreon.com/OVPod. For as little as $1 a month, you can have all the bonuses too. Here's the introduction for Heaven's Gate.
Classroom, or in old language, a couple thousand years ago, disciples. Those who are trying to prepare themselves for entry into the evolutionary level above human, synonymous with the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. We're going to talk to you about the most urgent thing that is on our mind, and what we suspect is the most urgent thing on the minds of those who will connect with us. We'll title this tape Planet Earth About to be Recycled. Your only chance to evacuate is to leave with us. Planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us. Now, that's a pretty major statement, pretty bold in terms of religion, in terms of anybody's intelligent thinking. To most people who would consider themselves intelligent beings, they'd say, well, that's absurd. What's all this doomsday stuff? What's all this prophetic stuff? You know, intelligent human beings should realize that everything has their cycle. They have their season. They have their beginning. They have their end. They have cycles. We're not saying that planet Earth is coming to an end. We're saying that planet Earth is about to be refurbished, spaded under, and have another chance to serve as a garden for another human civilization. Now, the reason this is such an interesting time is not only because we're on the threshold of the end of this civilization, because it's about to be recycled, but because of where that finds us, where that finds you, where that finds those who would judge us, how we would speak of them and how they would speak of us. Now you keep saying us. Who do you think you are? Well, I, in all honesty, must acknowledge my father. My father is not a human father. My father is a member of the evolutionary level above human, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. My father gave me, long before this civilization, gave me birth into that kingdom level above human, that kingdom of heaven, that kingdom of God. Now you can say, well, I can't believe that. Well, it's up to you whether you believe that or not. That's not important to me, even though I wish that you could believe it for your sake. For those who do believe it, stand a possibility of a future beyond this recycling time.
Marshall Herf Applewhite Jr. was born in Spur, Texas. His father was a Presbyterian minister, and Marshall had a very religious upbringing. He ended up earning a bachelor's in philosophy in 1952 and then enrolled in seminary, hoping to become a minister. He married a woman named Ann Pierce, and later they had 2 kids, Mark and Lane. Early on in his seminary education, he bailed on school to be a music director at a Presbyterian church in North Carolina. So then in 1954, Applewhite was drafted into the Army, where he served as a member of the Signal Corps. I don't know what that is. Is that like where they wave flags? Flag waving? Ba, 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 ba.
I think so. Like when they're marshalling people in?
I don't know. Flag Corps.
Oh, I think that might be. It's either a type of drill or it's a type of marshalling drill.
Okay.
Are you familiar with flag drill at all?
Yeah, but if we're talking U.S. here, right?
Yeah, the U.S. and he was in the Flag Corps.
Yeah, so they have, they definitely have like people that wave the flags in front and just spin them.
I think that might have been what he did.
It's kind of lame, but whatever.
Then he left the Army in 1956 and enrolled at the University of Colorado. He got a master's in music and focused on musical theater. So he's big into like all the artsy stuff. He moved to New York after he finished his school in an attempt to launch a music career. This failed.
As it so often does.
Yeah. He then began teaching at the University of Alabama. This didn't last very long because he was fired after pursuing a sexual relationship with a male student. So his religious education was not likely to be super supportive of same-sex relationships, and he was subsequently frustrated by his sexual desires. He and his wife, Ann Pierce, separated in 1965 when she learned of the affair, and they ended up getting like a for-real divorce 3 years later.
Like for-real friends?
Yes.
So his eye was tempted elsewhere, and that led to the end of his marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, monogamy doesn't work for everybody.
Nope. Not for everybody.
Yeah, and unfortunately it works. Yeah, this goes sour.
Yeah. When he left the University of Alabama, he moved out to Houston, Texas to teach at the University of St. Thomas. According to his students, he was an engaging speaker as well as a stylish dresser. He was the chair of the music department and became a kind of locally popular singer, serving as the choir director of an Episcopal church and also performing with the Houston Grand Opera. Marshall was out for a while in Houston. It seems like he pursued relationships with men and women. Applewhite resigned from the University of St. Thomas in 1970, saying that he was suffering from depression and other emotional issues. The president of the university later said that he was mentally jumbled and disorganized right before he left.
Oh. So, like, he had disordered thoughts? Is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah, they thought he was, like, kind of all over the place.
Oh, boy. Scattered thinking can be, like... I don't know, that can be a lot of things. That can be mania-ish, or that can be... Like sometimes a high level of anxiety can create that kind of like energy in people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So in 1972, Applewhite met our girl Bonnie Nettles.
Bonnie,
not Betty. Christ. She was a nurse with a deep interest in biblical prophecy and alien stuff.
As you do.
Yeah, like you do. The two quickly became like super close. Applewhite felt like they must have known each other in a past life. Nettles told him that their meeting was foretold to her by extraterrestrials.
Oh, okay.
Persuading him that he had been chosen to carry out a divine assignment.
How did that communication happen?
She just talked to him in her head.
Oh man, they didn't even like bring her up into the spaceship and put some like metal things in her?
I don't think so, no.
Oh man.
What's the point if you don't get a little probing, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So around this time, Marshall started getting pretty deep into alternatives to the Christian doctrine he had grown up on, including astrology. He also had several visions, including one where he was told that he was destined for a Jesus-like role. It is speculated that he had a schizophrenic episode around this time. And soon, Applewhite and Nettles began to live together.
Yeah, that's when fake it till you make it like really hits the fan, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had it was a non-sexual relationship. They just allegedly.
I'm Doe. That's not my name, but that's how I'm referred to on planet Earth. Let me say that our mission here at this time is about to come to a close in the next few days. We came from distant space and even what some might call somewhat of another dimension, and we're about to return from whence we came. When we came, we had to take human bodies. We didn't take them as infants. And we've been ignored, or we've been called a UFO cult, or we've been called some New Age cult, or, you name it. Whatever cult you want to call it, we've been called that. We're none of those things, but we can understand why someone would call us that when they do not have and have not been given the knowledge to see us for who we are. The issue is, you're going to hear about our exit in the news about these individuals who committed suicide. We're going to tell you that those who write that kind of information are ignorant of the evolutionary level above human. They don't know how else to write because they have none of that knowledge in them. But for a human to have any comprehension of the social structure of the chain of command in that evolutionary level is as hopeless of a reasonable task to understand as it is for a dog to understand the structure of organization at the human level. It just is not fathomable to human. I will be very glad to be shed of this suit of clothes that I am wearing. Everything that we vibrate on, everything that we do, all of our activity is so unhuman that we conflict with these bodies. These bodies that we are wearing, we can't keep them healthy because we do not participate in human behavior, or what human behavior has become. This is like living in a civilization that is of history, that is barbaric, that is primitive in comparison to the civilization of the level above human. We have been in a evolutionary level while visiting the human kingdom that is saturated with lies and misinformation. Now, it'll be a miracle if this tape ever is permitted to become knowledge that could spread across the world, to even give individuals a chance to know what we have to say about what you might have been offered. In my Father's kingdom, there are no mammals. There are no humans. Now, their bodies and their individuals are very similar to these in many respects, very similar to human bodies, except more refined. This is an interesting time because in this particular civilization that we're visiting now and about to leave, this civilization now is beginning to have an awareness of alien creatures they call space aliens, and we call them Pleiadians, and from different areas of the heavens. I guess you've noticed this ring that I have here, and humans relate this ring as a marriage to another human. Okay, to us it means our committal to the next level. Also, it makes it convenient for those in the class, if they have that ring on, that others then don't start looking at them if they see them out in the world doing tasks, thinking, oh, that's somebody I might get interested in, because it helps kind of say, I'm taken. I'm not available, so to speak. So this is my committal to my older member and to the next level. Well, we're so excited we don't know what to do, because we're about to re-enter the level above human. And we feel like that my older member and the crew working with my older member has said to us, we can't wait any longer. I mean, we've done everything we can, and you don't need to stay there any longer. It's time for us to get on with the refurbishing of this planet. It's time to start the cycle. We're right at the point where you can't stay there any longer without being significantly disturbed by what has to happen to this planet. So it's okay with us. We're very, very glad. We hope that we took advantage of the time that we had incarnated in these human vehicles, and will be of better service to the next level because of it.
All right, so they said that the people who were a part of this experiment would be brought to an advanced evolutionary level. They eventually got about 80 people together, and together in a living room in 1975, and then Bonnie and Marshall shared a miraculous, simultaneous revelation that they were in fact the two witnesses written into the Bible's story of the end time.
Oh, they just gathered the crowd of people and then had a revelation that they were related to saints.
Simultaneous revelation. In case you can't hear my air quotes, there are several of them.
I'm sure that wasn't pre-negotiated.
No, not at all. No.
Two witnesses. That reminds me of something like that.
Yeah. Okay, it's all very like.
It's all very cult-like.
Yes. Okay, so after this amazing event, the crew sold all their worldly possessions, said goodbye to their families, and vanished from the hotel in Waldport, Oregon that they were staying in. In order to avoid detection, the group traveled rough, sleeping in tents and begging in the streets. On their cross-country travels, Bonnie and Marshall, known to the group as Doe and T, which is kind of cute, continued to recruit converts, preaching the gospel of higher-level metamorphosis, the deceit of humans by false god spirits, envelopment with sunlight, and meditative healing, and the divinity of the UFO 2, which is basically what they thought they were.
Metamorphosis seems like really easy to prove. How do they say, like, yeah, that's a thing we can do, but, like, not be asked to
Keep in mind, like, this is like the late 70s, and people were kind of looking to glom onto something more spiritual.
Yeah.
So through the late 70s and early 80s, their cult of personalities grew, as did their membership. Most converts were kind of hippy-dippy. Some of them weren't. They kind of crossed all the political barriers or whatever.
Yeah, they had like hippies and like science-oriented people.
Yeah, but they all pretty much were seeking to blend a more alternative belief system with a sprinkling of traditional religion. So we're kind of looking for a little bit more meaning in there. So Doe and T's teachings were pretty perfect for these kind of folks. And then, sadly, Bonnie Nettles died in 1985 of liver cancer. She'd been dealing with it for years and even had an eye removed in 1983. Marshall convinced his followers that she had left behind her, in quotations, broken down vehicle, and would continue to help the cult from the next level.
What is broken down vehicle a metaphor for?
It's just like her broken down like skin bag or whatever. Like, she had already ascended.
Just like, yeah, like she she isn't the body that she possesses.
Right.
Like she's
beyond that body
being beyond that body.
Yeah.
That's some L. Ron Hubbard bullshit.
So
100%,
I was gonna say, so that's a very Scientology-esque, like.
Yeah, it's a very Scientology sentiment.
Insert clip of David Miscavige saying, he has ascended his meat body and has continued his research in the energy plant. You know,
he has now moved on to his next level of OT research. This level is beyond anything any one of us ever imagined. This level is in fact done in an exterior state, meaning that it is done completely exterior from the body. At this level of OT, the body is nothing more than an impediment and encumbrance to any further gain as an OT. Thus, at 2000 hours Friday, the 24th of January, AD 36, L. Ron Hubbard discarded the body he had used in this lifetime for 74 years, 10 months, and 11 days. The body he had used to facilitate his existence in this messed universe had ceased to be useful, and in fact, had become an impediment to the work he now must do outside of its confines.
So it was after her death that the group really kind of went full bore and started to ramp up a bit. So Applewhite made some revisions to the group's doctrine. He espoused that the Hale-Bopp Comet housed the secret of their salvation.
Isn't it Hale-Bopp?
Whatever, I don't know.
Because Halley's Comet is different.
Is it Hale?
It's Hale-Bopp, not Haley. It's Hale-Bopp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm wrong.
Hale-Bopp.
Also, fuck
Hale-Bopp,
you.
Hale-Bopp.
So, Applewhite made some revisions to the group's doctrine. He espoused that the Hale-Bopp Comet housed the secret to their salvation and descendants into the kingdom of heaven. Applewhite kept strict control of his group. They kept gaining followers and preaching their wacky bullshit. A man named Jacques Vallée wrote a book in 1979 which gave Heaven's Gate a bit of coverage. Vallée talked about how he was concerned about the authoritarianness of the group. Heaven's Gate was basically ignored through the 80s and early 90s, giving them kind of time to like grow under the radar.
Yeah, and back then, like in kind of the 60s and the 70s, like media wasn't as splintered. There wasn't as much going on, as much to absorb. So, like something like a book could make a far bigger impact, could pass the message on further than it could today.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was just kind of like a blurb in the book.
Yeah.
So we're jumping back to not 1994. So in 1994, LA Weekly ran an article about them, and Coast to Coast AM, which was a pretty conspiracy theory-y radio show, ran a story about Heaven's Gate, and that was in 1996, which is widely speculated as contributing to the famous suicide.
Yeah. Coast to Coast, for those that don't know, was a call-in radio show, and anybody could call in, who knows if they're making it up or not, and tell any story, and there was people who had all kinds of tall tales calling in through the years,
and they'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I don't know that. That's true.
Yeah.
Hell yeah."
Yeah, all the way from having like babies with Bigfoot to like working in Area 51 and developing like a laser to kill the president, like and everything in between.
Yeah. So I guess accolades, clout.
Yeah, maybe.
Louis Theroux even contacted them to appear on his BBC doc, Louis Theroux's Wild Weekends, in early March of 1997.
He's been a busy boy, hasn't he?
Yes. The group responded that they would not be able to take part because, quote, "At the present time, a project like this would be an interference with what we must focus on," which is kind of ominous.
A little bit.
So, all right, now finally, on to what you're all here for, the infamous group suicide.
Welcome to Heaven's Gate.
It's a place where few cameras have been. Behind the front door of the Rancho Santa Fe mansion, where 39 cult members took their own lives. Real estate and environmental consultant Randall Bell gave us the tour.
This is the main living room. This was the main gathering place of the people that lived here.
At first glance, it just looks like an empty 9,200 square foot house. Then you see remnants of what happened here.
And all the marble, as you can see, there's blood stains on the marble. And obviously this just simply has to go.
There's also blood in what was once the Heaven's Gate computer room, and upstairs in many of the bedrooms, off limits to our cameras today. But if they died peacefully, why all the blood?
My understanding is that the bodies were here long enough that blood came out their nose and other places.
That's not all. There are also urine stains on the carpet throughout the home.
The stains on the carpet are all related. You'll notice that gurneys banged into the wallpaper. The drapery has got to go because the odor gets into the fibers.
The Italian marble in the entryway also has to be replaced. It too was damaged by the gurneys coming in and out of the home. Workers have been surveying the damage for weeks now. So far, the price tag is topping 6 figures.
So it's not only the carpeting, the wallpaper, and the marble that has to go, but also thousands of dollars worth of beveled glass, which is in these rooms. The consultant says he wants it to go because of the memories.
Memories that are kept alive through photographs like these. This is the room with the body underneath the beveled glass, and this is what it looks like today. That's why they want it changed. Bell says his job of overseeing the renovations will take about a year. The owner then plans to move back in.
So in 1996, members of Heaven's Gate rented a huge, over 9,000 square foot home in Rancho Santa Fe, California. On my birthday in 1997, when I was 10, I wrote that down because it was apparently very important that you all know. And it was on March 20th, 1997.
Just days before I was born.
Okay, and I was born on March 20th in 1987.
Yeah, and I was born on April 4th. 97. So you're like almost exactly 10 years older than
almost
me.
exactly.
That was fucking a year after the Atlanta Olympics, which I remember vividly.
That's weird. That's another story for another time. So Marshall Applewhite made a tape about the mass suicide and how it was the only way for the group to evacuate Earth. Hale-Bopp was about to be visible from Earth, and as you'll recall, Heaven's Gate adherents believed this comet was super important.
I remember looking up and seeing this comet in
Me
the
too.
sky, and it was fucking fascinating.
Yep, I remember.
Seriously
I saw it too.
intense shit. I would hate to have been born a year after it appeared, because that would totally suck balls because you wouldn't get to see the comet.
What year was it?
Wait, this was
97.
Yeah.
So I was born just like
just after.
days after,
Yep.
like 2 weeks after.
I think I was riding in a farmer's combine and able to see it when I was 7.
I was at church, and I remember the minister saying this is proof of God. And at the time, being in grade 7, I was like,
Big
sure
if
This is the truth of God.
Big
It's
if true.
Big if true.
It's a wonderful, fantastic thing, for therefore it is God.
And God soaked his tennis ball in gasoline and thus threw it throughout the heavens.
All right. So Applewhite spoke about the Hale-Bopp event representing the closure to Heaven's Gate. Fun fact, the group also took out alien abduction insurance that covered abduction, impregnation, or death by aliens that would pay out $1 million per person. And I put 3 exclamation marks.
And that worked?
Apparently.
Fuck, the financial market's just garbage.
I don't know how to express my face right now with my voice.
It is...
It's a what the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much like,
kind of
what?
So what did they think the comet was? Like, why did they think that killing themselves would, like, give them a ticket on it?
Because they thought that there was a UFO right, like, following the comet. And that was the UFO that they all needed to get onto.
And so, like, the UFO was in the comet trail?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was like right on the comet's ass.
Do you talk about Chuck Schramek, the guy who discovered the UFO?
No.
No, you don't?
I do not. Do you talk about it?
Well, it's your episode.
Well, I didn't talk about it.
Oh, well, he took a photo with like a very sort of super primitive digital camera, and it showed like there was an elongated object kind of trailing behind Hale-Bopp in the photo, and they weren't able to attribute it to a star or anything like that. I think they called it like a Saturn-like object or something like that.
Okay.
Kind of hanging out behind Hale-Bopp in the tail of the comet, just sort of out of it. We could probably post pictures to it.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
And so that UFO claim, there was sort of something to substantiate that, as kind of goofy as it may be. Oh, right. There you go. There, Oods posted it on the Discord.
Apparently, those two white lights that are behind the comet those are the ones that were circled in other pictures as being the UFO.
Okay, yeah, because then, that's the UFO that they thought that they were going to hop onto after they committed suicide. Or, sorry, after they died by suicide.
So the comet is not in that picture?
Well, no, the comet's the big flashy thing, and then the UFO's the thing kind of off to the side.
Okay, yes. Okay. I'm just making sure I comprehend this picture.
By the way, moment to clarify, why do we use died by instead of committed? It's because committed implies like a crime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we use it died.
Because you commit murder, you commit rape.
Yeah.
You don't commit suicide.
You commit a crime, but you don't commit suicide because
you die by suicide.
You die by suicide.
Okay, yeah. That's totally fair. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. So Marshall convinced 38 followers to prepare for the ritual suicide that would enable their souls to board the alleged spacecraft following the Hale-Bopp Comet and take them to a level of existence that existed above human beings.
Of course.
Yes. So this plane was both physical and spiritual. Each person recorded their own farewell message. So they all recorded bye, love you messages to their family, which is super sad.
Oh boy, if they exist in audio form, I'm going to put a couple of them in here. So
there definitely is on audio form. I should have sent them to you, but I'm an ass.
I'm just going to record the content warning right now. I'm sure they're heartbreaking, hearing the last words of a dying person. So yeah, prepare for that.
Yeah.
We have 3 of our classmates here, Jimodi, Alodi, Devoti, and they all felt like they'd like to say something to the world before we leave. Alodi, something you'd like to say?
Okay, I'll go first. I know you've already heard us talk a lot about restraint, and that's because every member of the next level is restrained. Some, of course, are more restrained than others. Because they're older and they've had a longer chance to grow taller. And naturally, our older members have encouraged us to grow as tall as we possibly could while we were here, because in the heavens we'll all be wearing midget-sized vehicles, and if we can't see over the spaceship console, we're going to miss out on a lot of spectacular scenery. You may have noticed that there are some in this class who have taken greater advantage of this opportunity than others, but don't let appearances deceive you. Green is not our favorite color, just mine. And I've worked long and hard to overcome that, without much luck, as you can see. I'm holding that. But I do feel very lucky. We all do. And that is what I wanted to talk to you about. We saw Hook recently on TV, and in the movie, Tinkerbell warns Peter Pan that every time someone stops believing in little people like her, a little person dies. When this vehicle was young, it read a book about elves and fairies and the like, and that book said the same thing. So I held on to that belief, even as an adult vehicle. In fact, the vehicle had plans to go to Ireland someday to track down the truth about the little people. Then one day in Oregon, in 1975, an article showed up in the campus paper. The headline said, "That little green man may be your cousin." The article described a Florida professor's presentation about the Aztec, New Mexico crash, and the bodies found inside. Autopsies showed the beings had brains capable of superhuman intelligence. It said that they appeared to have no digestive or reproductive organs. I showed the article to Jan Odie, this was before we joined the class, and we thought, wow, this is going to be a big story. This is going to be big news. But nothing came of it. There was a total blackout on it. Even when we called the paper, they had no more information. Some months later, Chakotay and this vehicle's cousin showed up for an unexpected visit. Downtown we saw a poster that said, UFOs, why they are here, who they have come for, when they will leave. It talked about reps from the evolutionary level above human. We went to Walport, Oregon on September 14, 1975, and we heard T&O speak. A few days later, we were all headed for training as part of the Next Levels Away team. Now this vehicle knew it didn't fit in this world, but after I met my older members, saw them through these eyes, heard them through these ears, I knew where I belonged. I recognized them. There was something familiar about them. The little people I had been looking for had come to take me home. You can think this is all fantasy, and that's your choice. There are a lot of illusions in this world, and it's hard to sift out the truth. But this is no illusion, and some of you will know it after we go. A few years ago, we received instructions to write a movie about the next level. T knew that just as truths about the kingdom of heaven could be delivered to humans through fairy tales, so could these truths be accepted more easily by humans in the form of science fiction. This is a copy of the cover for the last version of that script effort. Maybe one of you could hold this. The name of the movie was Beyond Human: Return of the Next Level. Sorry, not working? Is that okay? Recently, the script received serious attention for conversion into a TV series by a major network. But at the last minute, they got cold feet and decided it was too far-fetched. An individual who helped us with this project recently left the class with hopes of seeing it through. Even if he succeeds, we must warn you that our storyline contains both fact and fiction, so do not trust it as a historical record. We will be very surprised if any of the hardcore truths it contains about the next level actually receive public airing anyhow. If you want information about us, and lower forces don't interfere, you can find it at our site on the internet, www.heavensgate.com. One last thing. If you don't believe in us, we won't die, though we may appear dead to you. If you do believe in us, and the ones we have worked so hard to represent, our older members, T and O, who are from the next level, then you can be sure the next level is watching. Because by your belief, you allow them a chance to save the part of you that may become a child in our Father's house too, at a later time, if that is where you want to be. Thank you for listening, and good luck.
Okay. And Jimody, how long have you been in the class?
I've been in the class since 1975. I guess it's about a little over 21 years. And there's not much I really have to say, except I just wanted the people who are watching this to know that this is something that I have been thinking about, and this is something I'm doing on my own free will, and nobody is really, forcing me to do this. It's something that I know deep inside is right for me, and I feel like that's important. The next level gives everybody their rights. They're very rights conscious, and they give them the freedom to do whatever they want. And I feel this is part of the freedom that they have given us, and the choice they have given us, and I am very excited about going. I can hardly wait, and I'm ready to go.
Devotee, how long have you been in the class?
I've been in the class, will be 6 months Sunday. I think I may be the last one up to this point to have come to be with T&O at this time. I'm very happy to be here.
Do you have any thoughts about this, what's next for us?
The only thoughts that I have is the preparation that I've made to separate from the vehicle. Leave it all behind. There's nothing here for me. I want to look forward, keep my eye on T&O. That's my path.
So each of these members died by taking phenobarbital mixed with applesauce. Apple, like Applewhite. I even wrote like A in brackets.
Phenobarbital.
Or pudding, followed by a vodka chaser. So they also put plastic bags around their heads to ensure asphyxiation after they had taken their phenobarbital cocktail. All 39 people, including Applewhite, were dressed identically in black shirts and sweatpants, with brand new shiny Nike Decades runners and an armband saying Heaven's Gate Away Team. Every person had a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pocket.
Every person?
Yep. The $5 bill was to cover vagrancy fines while members were out on jobs, and the quarters were to make phone calls, apparently.
Weird.
Super weird.
I thought it was some like Greek shit, like pay the boatman, but yeah.
Once dead, a living Heaven's Gate member would take the bag off the head and pose it in bed with their faces and torsos covered with a square of purple cloth. So it seems like these adherents died in 3 shifts over 3 days. There were 21 women and 18 men between the ages of 26 and 72. As I mentioned, the first shift would die, and then the living members would arrange the bodies. Another fun, not fun fact. One of the dead members was Thomas Nichols, who is the brother of Nichelle Nichols, who played Ra in OG Star Trek.
Hailing frequencies open, Captain.
So Marshall was obviously one of the last people to die. He arranged for packages to be sent out to folks affiliated with Heaven's Gate and to the BBC, the outlet with Louis Theroux.
Christ.
The packages contained videotapes with Applewhite's previously mentioned tape about what they were doing, which was called Doe's Final Exit.
Oh.
Yeah, and the other farewell messages from the other followers.
And Doe was the one that died early, right?
No, Doe was him. The other one was Bonnie.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I assumed.
It's okay.
Shit, yeah.
No. And a man named Rio D'Angelo also received a letter that said, in quotes, "We have exited our vehicles just as we entered them." Yep. D'Angelo went to this, I couldn't think of a better term for it, so the suicide house, to check what was said in the letter was accurate and ascertained that it was. So obviously this was super huge news. It isn't every day that a bunch of people die by suicide in order to hitch a ride on a UFO following a comet. There have been a few other suicide attempts by the home team, I guess, members.
Oh. Like the people who weren't there in the main event?
Yep. And a few were successful. The website is, to this day, maintained by surviving members of Heaven's Gate.
Gee.
And go look at the website. It's like pure Alta Vista.
Like
GeoCities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hasn't changed, since 1996
No.
when they probably still have one of those like counters or something. And best
yes.
viewed with Netscape.
Yep.
And it's counting up now.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I found some more information on that UFO object that they found.
Knit that in.
Okay, so Chuck Schramek took a picture with a primitive sort of digital camera type device, and it showed this elongated object behind Hale-Bopp. He compared his picture of Hale-Bopp to his, astronomy software on his computer, and didn't find the star, which made him think that it was some sort of other object kind of trailing Hale-Bopp. Other astronomers, maybe better astronomers, claimed that the object was an 8.5 magnitude star, SAO 141894. And even Alan Hale, the discoverer of Hale-Bopp, said that that's what it was as well. They said that the star did not appear on Schramek's computer program because the user preferences were set incorrectly. So there you go. That's why it was just a star, and he didn't see it in his program because he didn't set it up properly. So if you're going to discover UFOs trailing comets, pro tip: just make sure you got your software working.
Make sure your shit's together.
Yeah,
or else you'll have a bunch of people die by suicide for no reason.
That's right.
The butterfly effect scares me. Like, user error caused the death of so many.
Well,
39 people.
Well, it's interesting because
And then more.
This other guy, Art Bell, claimed to have obtained an image of the object from an anonymous astrophysicist who was going to confirm this discovery of it being like a brand new, celestial object. But other, again, perhaps better astronomers from the University of Hawaii looked at this alleged picture and was like, well, that's actually just an altered copy of a picture we took. And so if you're going to discover comets, again, don't Photoshop pre-existing photos.
Especially in like 1997 or whatever.
96.
96.
Yeah.
Yes.
Snopes wasn't around.
I was in grade 6 at the time.
Mm-hmm. No good. I was 9 years old.
It's called the Hale-Bopp Comet, named after the two men who discovered it. It's nothing to do with the music scene, and it's becoming brighter as it approaches the sun.
Around the world, astronomers have been searching the night sky.
Okay, we got the comet.
A ball of ice, the Hale-Bopp Comet is 25 miles across and weighs millions of tons. It throws off a trail of water vapor and gases. And the closer it gets to the sun, the brighter it gets. Astronomers say it's like looking at part of the distant past.
You're seeing bits and pieces of the solar system as it existed 4 or 5 billion years ago.
The two men who discovered it have become stars in their own right. The two live in different parts of America, but spotted the comet at almost exactly the same time.
He reported the comet a couple of minutes before I did, so his name got on there first.
If you discover a comet, it gets named after you, which certainly is an incentive to go out and look for these things.
Hale-Bopp is 120 million miles away, but can still be seen with the naked eye. Through history, comets have been seen as predictors of great events. For millions of people, Comet Hale-Bopp itself is a great event, part of the beauty and the mystery of our universe, and will become easier to see over Britain from this evening.
Yeah.
So that's all I got for Heaven's Gate. There's still people kicking around. They're still looking after the website, which is not great. But it's very sad and very weird.
They wanted to know what they did. They wanted the world to know. They weren't like Jim Jones hiding away in the jungle. They wanted people to know, and
right.
They left behind so much.
Jim Jones didn't do it until there was a media crew there.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
they recorded every second of it. They wanted people to know too.
Yeah,
I'll be doing an episode.
I guess they kind of pushed his hand.
Yeah,
or I shouldn't say that. He caused the deaths of all those people.
No, he did. Yes,
because he was a paranoid drunk fuck.
Yeah,
he had nothing to do with any other one other than
Other
him.
than Jim Jones. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Jim
anyway, so that was Heaven's Gate, and the end. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Alrighty, another cult down the drain. This one was recorded in 2 sittings, months apart, because of the great basement flooding situation, which we're solving at the moment, thanks to the lovely help of our donators and our patrons. So thank you all. Playing us out, this is Hale-Bopp. Yes, after the comet, by the artist Brendan Snee. That is BrendanSnee. See you in the after show.
You came in the night sky, totally unannounced. You flew in on seat safe for 4 eyes. You told T and Toe the 39 must go, 'cause they're playing for the Heaven Gates away team.
Hello, lovelies. It's Ood Gallifrey with the After Show. Let's read some iTunes reviews, good and bad, from the top. I wish they were my friends. Really interesting stuff from fun people. Makes me want to move to Canada. 5 out of 5. Yeah, parasocial relationships are interesting and strange. I also feel kinship and friendship with people I've never met that I've spent literally hundreds of hours listening to their voice and their opinions and their stories and their personal struggles through podcasts and streaming, and it's always strange like that. Split. I like the topics. I listen to other similar podcasts, but these hosts do include material I haven't heard from other podcasts. However, I don't like getting preached to by Canadians. They bring up the flaws in America a lot, as if Canada isn't full of problems, and Christianity is always bashed. I'm fine with religion bashing, but it's ridiculous that they solely focus on Christianity when other religions are just as problematic. Way too PC, it's annoying. 2 out of 5. We're a podcast that wears our politics on our sleeve. We're never going to try and be one of those creators that are just like, I'm going to leave politics and religion out of our material. We're very opinionated people, and unfortunately, politics and religion are great forces that shape and control our world, and leaving those out of conversations would just feel... it wouldn't feel genuine. It wouldn't feel complete, because those are important parts of the conversation. I don't see us ever stopping talking about those things and pushing farther and farther, because having these hard conversations about issues that are controversial, that make you uncomfortable, I think are important. You might want to ask yourself why they make you feel so uncomfortable to hear those things. And don't worry, there's plenty wrong with Canada. The myth of Canada being a PC, socialist paradise with no racism or discrimination is fucking bullshit. Too much liberal nonsense. Might be listenable too if these hosts stopped with nonsensical pro-liberal comments and unnecessary Republican American patriotic bashing. It's getting really old. Same with the other comment. We're not going to stop. We're proudly leftist. Many of us and our guests far leftists, so that's something we're going to keep on talking about. Bunches of weirdness and fun. This podcast is a new obsession of mine. Ood, Sage, and Leon are entertaining, and yes, Ood, you have an accent, and are downright fun to listen to. I have a tendency to stay up late just to hear the next episode, and the next, and the next. Good work, guys. Well, thank you very much for listening to us. I'm glad you enjoy our product. It's always a bit of a shot in the dark whether or not something I think is going to go well, but this project so far has grown beyond my expectations. People seem to like it, despite my imposter syndrome saying that they aren't. Last one for tonight. Canadian accents and weird paranormal true crime, what more could you ask for? I found these guys when they followed me on Instagram and immediately began binge-watching all of their episodes. I am loving their Canadian accents and the topics they choose. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite podcasts. Keep up the good work, my Canadian 420 friendly neighbors. Thanks for keeping me entertained while working. And if you ever find yourself in Alaska, you got a fan here who'd love to smoke you out and talk about weird stuff. You know what? I haven't been to Alaska in a while. I was up in Anchorage a while ago, and I loved that road trip. I went through Edmonton, through the mountains, up to Dawson City, saw the Fish Ladder and White Horse, crossed the border over into Anchorage. I would love to take that road trip again, so we just might take you up on that. You know, if we ever do remote recordings at the places where fans reside, we would love to do local myths and legends, so perhaps we can plan for that someday. Well, that's it for me. Thank you very much for indulging my blabbing. If you want to leave us a review, good, bad, ugly, give us feedback, it helps. It helps engage, and it helps show those mysterious computer algorithms that rule the world that we are worth listening to and we can be passed on to further people. So, spreading the word of Valhalla in all her glory involves working regrettably in concert with those algorithms that spread her praise and worship. Have a wonderful evening, and remember to breathe deeply. And don't be too hard on yourself. I love you. Have a wonderful night.